And here we are with another look at Jedi testing. I know we took about a month or so off. Hope everyone had a good holiday. We are back, and as promised, we're going to look at Darkside today. However, we're going to do things a little different. We're going to look at two different Darkside decks. Could be third, but I'm still kind of tweaking some things. The reason we're going to go ahead and look at two different ones today, not just to change up Jedi training testing, but there has been a lot of talk online that Balance of the Force didn't do much to change the game. I personally disagree with that. I think it did a lot of things to change the game. So I want to look at a couple Balance of the Force things. But, it's just my opinion. So the first thing that I wanted to take a look at is the Scrum Security team and the objective Mercenary support. I think Mercenary support's ability is very unique. I just haven't found the best way to manipulate it just yet. There's obviously going to be some mercenaries and bounty hunters in this deck, so that's going to be one way to play it, but I'm not exactly sure the best way to use it, so we'll come back to it. Supporting Fire is a very interesting card. The jury's still out as far as I'm concerned on just how powerful this card is. I thought it was going to be better than Twist of Fate when I first saw it, and I'm learning it's not as good, and it's much more situational. So instead of trying to put two in a deck like I initially had tried, I'm much more inclined to only put in one. This card is borderline worthless in 1 versus 1, however its 4 force icons are really good for edge battles. Punishing One is a really unique card. This deck doesn't really run too much that benefits off of capture, so Punishing One's reaction text won't play too big a part. But it's nice that it doesn't have to win edge battles. It's a vehicle, and so it can't be force choked. I like it. These guys are much more powerful than people are giving them credit for. I'll go ahead and spoil it here in these videos, but these guys are really, really good. And if you have a way, you should probably be looking at trying to include them in Darkside decks. One of the reasons that they're really good is in the meta right now, there are going to be a whole bunch of vehicle decks, vehicle swarm decks. So the Scrum Security team can sit back and they don't ever have to actually get involved unless you want them to get involved. They don't ever need to strike, so they're never forced to strike. And they're very, very beneficial for someone, for a Darkside player who's just trying to control the board state. So what we want to do is we want to pair them with corrupt officials. And the reason we want to do that is this lets you pick and choose your battles. This, Scrum Security teams, for example, can't block sleuths or blockade runners, but they can still strike against sleuths and blockade runners. Or if you don't need to block, you can just let them do their damage. Your corrupt officials will negate any damage from the blockade runners or the sleuths, including any bonuses from across the note. And then you can go ahead and have your Scrum Security team strike, do some damage. In my experiences, using these cards together is quite potent against any form of vehicle swarm. It does very, very well to protect your objectives and to kind of slow the light side's aggression. I really actually like the Outer Rim Space Pirates. To me, they are like Scum's versions of Vader. Instead of getting blast icons, they get focus or tactics icon. But they also have resources, which is really, really helpful. The lucrative contract, it obviously has a brilliant refresh in that it lets you treat one of your mercenaries or bounty hunters as if they were elite. And you'll notice that the Outer Rim Space Pirates are mercenaries. It also gives us 2 Twist of Fates, which Darkside loves for trying to control the board. And it gives us 2 Explosive Charges. Explosive Charges are really good at a few things. Old Ben Spirits, Jedi Lightsabers, things that are going to be problematic for you. Wedge Antilles. I found Pilot Luke is much harder to deal with, but these aren't game breaking. There's not a whole lot of enhancements in the deck, but they do a pretty good job. Next, we're going to go ahead and play 2 copies of Bosk. You'll notice Bosk is a bounty hunter, which means that he gets a benefit from Lucrative Contract. If you have a Lucrative Contract in play and you pay 4 to capture somebody with Bosk, you're going to put 2 focus tokens on him, but if Lucrative Contract's in play, it's going to remove 1 for you. Good thing about Bosk is he comes with these Transition Hunters. These combined with the Corrupt Officials give you plenty of 2-drops, give you plenty of ways to block sleuths or just prevent their damage. And it's not necessarily just sleuths. I've seen a lot of rebel aggressive builds out there that these guys are just really, really great at intervening with. Bounty is not a great card. This deck, I guess they don't win a lot of edge battles unless you're up against like a rebel Hoth operations deck. But it's just a little tricky to actually get to work right. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I typically throw it into an edge battle. Bosk also brings you 2 Heat of Battle, which takes you up to 2 Twist of Fates, 1 Supporting Fire, and double Heat, which I really, really enjoy. A Heat of Battle combined with a Winning Edge Trandoshan Hunter can take out a blockade runner pretty easy. We're playing 1 copy of Hive of Scum and Villainy. I'm not the biggest fan of this set. I'm playing it mostly for Captured. I had some issues dealing with Chewy during some games and testing. Chewy, since all of this deck is pretty much damage and hardly any tactics icons, Chewy can be very, very problematic. So I wanted to put this in. You get a few more 2-drops in the Paid Informants. You also get Greedo, who's an interesting choice. We'll come back to him, but really it's here for Captured. You also, unfortunately, get another copy of Bounty, which, again, I'm not the biggest fan of. Paid Informants are just okay. You can block with them, and if you have a Trandoshan Security team, you can go ahead and kill a Sleuth or kill a Snowspeeder or kill Rogue 2 or Red 5 together. Unfortunately, it means someone's going to get an attack off, but at the very least, the Paid Informants let you block something that you wouldn't normally be able to block, say like a Blockade Runner or a Sleuth. And if you have the Trandoshan Security team and you win the edge, you can go ahead and take them out by striking first with these guys. Greedo is interesting. You have to win edge. This deck can win edge. It doesn't struggle that hard to win edge. But you kind of have to pick and choose your edge battles, which makes Greedo kind of relative. But I typically like putting him to the Force. He benefits off a lucrative contract as well, being a bounty hunter. So it has some synergy. Let's see, where are we at? The other big objective set here is going to be Feeding the Pit. Gives you 2 resources, like lucrative contracts and like Trandoshan Terror. So you really shouldn't be hurting for resources all that much. Gives you Spice Visions. I like Spice Visions a lot in this deck. There's a lot of things that benefit from it. We'll come back to that, obviously, but I like it. Almighty Starlight just gives you some more enhancements to maybe work with Explosive Charge. You're not going to have that many captured characters. It's really just not going to happen. You're going to kill more characters than you're going to capture. But it's an enhancement nonetheless, and if you can get some use out of it, get some use out of it. It also gives us 2 Krat Dragons. Krat Dragon is big for a few reasons. It's your main kind of big baddie of the deck. You get to shoot down almost anything. He can one-shot Chewy, which is great. He can attack objectives, which is great. He's really a good target for Spice Visions. But between him and the Paid Informants and Greedo and Bosk, those are really your blast icons. So Krat Dragon is a big crux of the deck. He will play a major part in almost all of your games. Gamorrean Guard comes instead as well. He's just kind of useless. I like Bib. I like Bib a lot, actually. I like paying 3, having a tactics icon if I win the edge, and then having 3 resources as well. Not the greatest unit, and I wish he was a mercenary or something so he'd benefit off lucrative contracts. But for what it is, it works pretty well. The real draw here is to get the Krat Dragon going. And as I'm sure you've seen, people have discovered that you can throw Council of the Sith in any Darkside deck because this is always a good objective to have in play. Twist of Fate is always a good card to have. Dark Precognition costs 0, so you can play it regardless of what your starting affiliation is. You don't need a resource match at all. Gives you 2 resources if you play 2 copies, which is excellent. Quality Security Team is neutral, so the only card that does anything requiring Sith icons, or Sith resource matching, is the Advisor of the Emperor. And he has 2 Force icons, which means you can just commit him to the Force if you have an affiliation, if you have an objective in play. Or you can just drop him into an edge battle. So the real draw here of Council is that it gives Sith the card drawing needs and the control manipulations, a few more blast icons, a lot of more 2-drops. That's really the draw here. I think you'll see going forward a lot more people just kind of put Council into their deck to play it just for what it does. It can go into pretty much any deck. It's pretty great. So there's the deck. I'll put some statistics here. You'll see that Sith cards, there are 4 total. 2 of those are dark precogs, so don't worry about resource matching. It's perfectly fine. 23 characters, which is pretty good. 5 bounty hunters and 6 mercenaries. That means that there's 11 cards that can benefit from lucrative contracts. So needless to say, lucrative contracts is going to be really, really good once you see it. And that pretty much breaks it down. You end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 Twist of Fates, 1 supporting fire, and 2 heated battles. My first version of this deck did not play Greedo, and instead was playing Reconnaissance Mission. And the idea was to enhance the number of fate cards, try to help you win more edge battles. The problem was I had no real answer for Chewie outside of Bosk, and if they land Chewie early, it's pretty much just game over. He will wipe your whole board. It just doesn't make any sense to kill one of your own units to not kill one of their units. And if they have any form of damage removal or anything like that, it's just real ugly. So I decided I'd drop the Reconnaissance Mission and try the Captured, and along with the extra bounty, I guess, and see if we can get that to work out a little better. So we're going to run it at least once, maybe twice. We'll see how much time we have today. So hope you like the deck. Just make sure to keep watching the video.